This video will walk you through the installation process for Coastal Cable's railing systems. We'll focus on the side mount system, but we'll touch on the top mount installation as well. You will learn step by step how to achieve a clean, secure, and code-compliant installation using Coastal Cable's premium stainless steel components. Before starting installation, use the project layout to mark the locations of all posts. Space them evenly along each straight run. To calculate your spacing, measure the distance between the inside faces of the end posts. Then subtract the combined widths of all field posts. This gives you the total gap space. Divide that number by the total number of gaps to determine your evenly spaced gap dimension. Newel posts at the top of the stairs are usually taller, typically 39 inches instead of 37. The first post to install will be your outside corner posts. Both end and corner posts should be installed 37 inches above the deck. Mark where 37 inches lands. Also, find where your corner bracket will be centered on the fascia. Then head back to the bench. Now that you know the corner bracket location, pre-drill your corner mount brackets 1 inch in from the edge. Now mark the bracket location to where it will be centered vertically on your fascia and pre-drill. Fasten them to your corner post with the provided 12x1 screws. Using a non-marring clamp helps with precision. Placing a block at your 37-inch mark helps with installation. If the decking overhangs the rim and you don't want to notch your deck, space the end posts out to match the decking. Then measure your gap and cut the spacers to that size. Pre-drill your holes and sink in your lag screws, checking for plumb before each step. Before installing, you may need to add a furring strip between the fascia and joists if there's a gap. Install all of your outside corner posts before moving on to the inside corners. The inside corners will also be 37 inches. These do not have brackets. Instead, you'll mark your holes to match the end and field post mount holes. Then, use a step bit for the outside holes. This allows access to the inside of the post. Pre-drill into the fascia and joist, put your spacers in, and check for plumb before installing. Repeat for all inside corners. We'll cap these later. Terminal posts are similar. Mount the post less than 4 inches from the wall to make code. 3 inches should be plenty for installing the cable. Use shims to plumb your post. If there's only one rim joist, you will need to add blocking at the post locations. A double rim joist or support post is sufficient without blocking. Then attach shear blocks to all posts receiving the top rail. You can do this before or after installing the posts. Stretch string between the end posts and trap it under the shear block to align the field posts. Set the string 3/16 of an inch below the block to match the bottom of the top rail. Wrap the string around a shim and clamp into place. The 1 3/4 inch field posts need to be spaced off the fascia to align with the 2.5 inch end corner posts. Use the spacers provided or pressure-treated blocking if the gap is over 3/4 of an inch. In that case, space the field posts an extra 3/8 of an inch further than the end posts. If your deck has a crown, raise the end posts accordingly so the field posts meet the 34 1/8 inch minimum once aligned with a stretched string line. To install the top rail, first mount your top plates on all field posts with the screws provided. Measure the distance between posts and head to the chop saw. Square up the factory edge of your top rail, then cut it to size. Loosen one end post slightly to hinge it outward and slide the rail onto the shear block. Then re-secure. For runs over 20 feet, you can install one end at a time and join sections over field posts. Fasten the top rail to the shear block from underneath using pre-drilled holes and 10 by 3/4 inch screws. Use only 2 screws per field post, one in each opposite corner. If your deck includes stairs, install the stair railing next. If the top stair post is shared with the deck rail, proceed to temporarily install the bottom and field stair posts. Set your stair field post the same distance from the top of the deck as the top post. When measuring, make sure you're going to hit the stringer behind the fascia. The end post will likely be mounted close to or on the ground. You may have to drill the mount holes closer together, but avoid any closer than 4 inches. For standalone stair rails, mount the top post close enough to the stair nosing. This ensures the top rail meets the correct height, which is why it's 39 inches. Temporarily plumb and mount all stair posts at full height. Lay a level along the stair nosings and mark that line on the top and bottom posts. This is your reference mark. Use painter's tape for visibility and to avoid pencil marks on your posts. From the reference mark, measure up 36 inches to draw the top rail mark. Using a bevel gauge or digital gauge, find the stair angle. Cut a short piece of top rail and shear block at that angle, trimming off any sharp edges. Then insert the block into the rail. Use it to mark where the screw holes and bottom of the top rail land on the post. This gives you your cut line for the intermediate and bottom posts. Inspectors require the bottom cable to be close to the stair nosing to prevent a 6-inch sphere from passing through. To find the bottom cable location, mark 1/2 inch above the reference line, or whatever height will meet the 6-inch code. If you're drilling the holes yourself, we highly recommend adding this jig to your project. Now, with 5 key marks on the top stair post, transfer these to a story pole, or what we call a stair stick. It's a 1 by 2 inch board, or a cardboard strip. Label each mark and use this to accurately replicate measurements on the other posts. Match the reference marks on the bottom post. Transfer the cut and cable marks. To mark your cut line of your field post, run a string from the top shear block and the bottom post. Put a 3/16 inch spacer under the shear block to account for the railing, just like before. Use the stair stick or the jig to transfer cable hole centers from one of the deck posts. Temporarily remove your posts to prep them for cable. Pre-drill your top post cable centers, stepping up from 1/4 inch to 11/64, then end on 7/16. Next, pre-drill your terminal post at the base of the stairs. This will be 1/4 inch angled holes to match your stair angle. Lastly, cut your field posts at the stair angle previously marked. Then, pre-drill your field posts. These grommets do require one segment cut out to allow cable to pass through at an angle. The threaded terminal will pass through the grommet with some effort. Start square to the post and slowly angle your drill to match the stair slope, using the shear block as a guide. Now, permanently reinstall the bottom post, making sure it's plumb. Next up is to attach the top rail. Install each top plate with 2 screws. Then, cut the top end of the rail at the stair angle. Cut the bottom end square, allowing it to overhang the bottom post by about 1.5 inches, and mount it over the shear block on the top post. Inspectors prefer minimal overhang to avoid snagging fire hoses. Once the rail is installed, add the end cap. Now that the side mount system is installed, before going into swaging, let's move to the other side of the house to discuss a few differences if installing a top mount system. This example is a concrete slab, but more commonly you'll be installing on composite or wood decking, which requires blocking under each post. Use 2x6 or larger treated wood for blocking, laid flat for maximum surface area. You'll prep your posts the same way as the side mount system. Lay out your posts with proper spacing to code. squaring up your post to the stairs and aligning the top post accordingly. Once you like your layout, pre-drill your first 2 holes, diagonal to each other, using shims and a level to find plumb. Complete installation and move on to the rest of the end posts. To spare redundancy, refer back to the side mount section for field post and stair installation. With all posts and rails securely in place, you're ready to begin cable installation. Coastal Cable provides bulk cable and field-applied fittings, so each line must be measured, trimmed, and crimped on site to ensure a clean, tensioned, and professional finish. Start by crimping the fittings onto one end of each cable. Before inserting the cable, give the strands a slight twist. This helps seat them tightly inside the fitting. For this process, you will need a 7/16 wrench, cable cutters, and a swaging tool. Begin at the bottom stair post by inserting the crimped terminal into the first cable hole on the stair side post. Then feed the opposite end of the cable through the terminal post, leaving excess slack. Repeat this process for all remaining cables. To find your cut mark for the other end, insert the cable into the threaded terminal fitting until it stops, holding your thumbnail at that point. Remove the cable while keeping your thumb in place. Then line the cable up alongside the terminal fitting and mark it where the end of the cable lands. Next, thread the nut and washer onto the terminal for measurement. Hold the terminal up to the post. Pull the cable tight and make a final mark at the correct cut location. Remove the nut and washer. Insert the freshly cut cable onto the terminal until fully seated, and crimp it using setting 1 or 2 on your swager. Apply 2 crimps, then shift down about an 1/8 inch, and crimp 2 more times to ensure a secure connection. Slide the fitting through the terminal post and hand tighten the washer and nut. Then finish snugging the connection with a wrench and pliers. Pluck the cable gently. It should produce a low, bass-like vibration with no notable sag. Repeat these steps for each cable, working from the middle cables outward to evenly balance the overall tension. For longer runs that include corner posts, leave some slack in the corners. Drop a 1/2 inch PVC sleeve into the gap and hold it in place while you tension the cable. This helps relieve pressure on the cable and extends the system's lifespan. To tension the run, use locking pliers and a non-marring clamp to apply tension. Once that cable is tensioned, continue working outward, drawing each line through to the end. Running cables through stair sections follows the same method if your end post also serves as the upper stair post. On stair field posts, you will need to notch the lower edge of the upper grommet and the upper edge of the lower grommet to allow the cable to pass cleanly at their stair angle. Make sure your notched grommets are in the proper position. Some stair systems require surface mount deck toggles. Crimp the cable into the terminal, then drive the first number 3 square drive screw into the pre-drilled top hole. From that point, measure 1.25 inches inward to locate the center of the next hole. Pre-drill using a bit up to 3/16 of an inch. The top screw location may be difficult to access, so a right angle drill or 90-degree bit may be helpful. Repeat the process to install all terminals. Then thread the cables through as before. Determine your cable lengths using the same method outlined earlier. At the bottom of the stairs, use bevel washers at each cable end to maintain a flush angled finish. Once tensioning is complete, grind off the bolt with a cutting wheel, flush to the nut, to ensure the finishing caps fit properly. To finish the job, press end caps onto all exposed fittings to complete the look with a clean, professional finish. Once all cables are installed, tensioned, and cut to fit, do a final check. Make sure every line is tight, evenly spaced, and visually parallel. This inspection step is critical for ensuring both code compliance and the sleek, modern appearance Coastal Cable systems are known for. Visit coastalcable.com for more information or to contact us.